Now, Ira Helfand, representing International Physicians for Prevention of Nuclear War, awarded in the 1985 Nobel Peace Prize for performing a considerable service to mankind by spreading authoritative information and by creating an awareness of the catastrophic consequences of the atomic world. IPPNW was founded in 1980 by physicians from the United States and the former Soviet Union who shared a common commitment in the prevention of nuclear war between their two countries. The goal of this international institution is to abolish nuclear weapons and prevent war and end violence. What is your proposal to avoid war in the world?
We've just heard about a very important convention to ban chemical weapons. Unfortunately, when it comes to nuclear weapons, the most destructive weapons of all, there is no convention to ban them. And so currently what we are seeking is to build support around the world for a nuclear weapons ban convention that will prohibit these weapons, stigmatize these weapons, and lead to their complete elimination. We are working through a broad umbrella group called the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, ICAN, which involves over 360 NGOs around the world, many of them led by young people, and an organization, a campaign which is open to everyone to join. The problem, I think, with nuclear weapons is that people have tended to forget that they're there. But as we were told in the last session, there are still 16,000 of these weapons in the world. And recent studies have shown that if just 100 small nuclear weapons were used in a conflict, as might happen between India and Pakistan, there would be enough disruption of the world's climate to cause significant decreases in food production. And a study that our organization has released has shown that this food disruption would lead to a global famine that could put up to 2 billion people at risk of starvation. That's a limited nuclear war. A larger war would be far worse. Let me tell you, and I'm addressing this mainly to the young people who I think probably have not heard this information before, and I'm sorry to tell you there is one more thing you need to worry about in your lives. A large war. Let's look at a single city. At Hiroshima, a bomb of 15 kilotons, 15,000 tons, destroyed the city and killed 150,000 people. In a modern nuclear war, it wouldn't be one bomb, it would be many bombs, and they would be much larger. A large city like Moscow, London, New York would probably be attacked with 10 or 15, maybe 20 bombs, each 30 times bigger than the Hiroshima weapon. It's hard to imagine all these explosions going off all at once, so let me use a model of a single 20 megaton explosion. More megatons than would actually be used, but less destruction than would actually be caused in a modern attack. Within 1,000th of a second of the detonation of that bomb, a fireball would form, reaching out for 3 kilometers in every direction, 6 kilometers across. In that entire area, the temperature would rise to 20 million degrees, and everything would be vaporized. The buildings, the trees, the people, the upper level of the earth itself would disappear. To a distance of 6 kilometers in every direction, the explosion would generate winds greater than 1,000 kilometers per hour. That destroys anything that human beings can build. To a distance of 9 kilometers in every direction, the heat would be so intense that automobiles would melt. To a distance of 25 kilometers in every direction, the heat would still be so intense that everything flammable would burn. Paper, cloth, wood, heating oil, gasoline, it would all ignite. Hundreds of thousands of fires which would coalesce over the next half hour into a giant firestorm, 50 kilometers across. Within this entire area, the temperature would rise to 800 degrees centigrade. All of the oxygen would be consumed, and every living thing would die. In the case of Rome, 3 million people dead in a half an hour. In the case of New York, perhaps 12 to 15 million people dead. And if this were part of a large-scale conflict between the United States and Russia, This level of destruction would consume every major city in the United States, in Russia, and if NATO were drawn into the conflict, every major city in Europe as well. Perhaps 500 million people dead in half an hour. But that's not the worst part of the story. Because a conflict involving just those weapons, which will be left in the US and Russian arsenals when the New START Treaty is fully implemented in 2017, that war would cause climate disruption far greater than the limited war in South Asia that I referred to before. It would drop global temperatures 8 degrees centigrade on average. In the interior of North America and Eurasia, the temperatures would drop something like 25 to 30 degrees centigrade. We've not had conditions on this planet that bad for 18,000 years, since the coldest moment of the last ice age. The 3 years in the Northern Hemisphere, there would not be a single day free of frost. The temperature would go below zero every single day. Ecosystems would collapse, food production would stop, and the vast majority of the human race would starve to death. It is possible we would become extinct as a species. This is not some nightmare scenario I have cooked up. This is the danger which we face every day that these weapons continue to exist, sitting on missiles that can be launched in a few minutes' time. A very smart woman, on hearing my presentation, once said, it must be very difficult being you, carrying all this stuff around in your head. On this occasion, she was actually wrong. It's not difficult being me because while this is the future that we will face if we don't take action, this is not the future that must be. Nuclear weapons are not a force of nature. They're not an act of God. They're something that human beings built, and we can take them apart. We know how to do that. All that's missing is the political will. And for that, we turn to you, because this task, eliminating these weapons, was going to require the involvement of every one of us. There are people here today who are great leaders, who spend all of their time, working on their causes. I'm not like that. I work as a doctor. That's who I am. I spend 40 hours a week taking care of patients. I spend a little bit of time working on this issue. That's something all of you can do, and I hope you all will, so that when you come to take stock of your life, you will honestly be able to look at yourself and say, I helped to save the world. I can't promise you that's going to get you into heaven, but I can promise you it's about the best thing you can say about your life. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. As you see, your invitation to take concrete action has been accepted by the audience. Thank you very much.